1975, Dutch Grand Prix, Zandvoort. On a wet Dutch afternoon that nobody saw coming, James Hunt's team crossed the line first. They had just beaten Ferrari. No sponsors, no budget, a team manager who had secretly sold the boss's Rolls-Royce without telling him just to pay for the trip. A team that by any reasonable measure had no business being in Formula One at all. So how on earth did they beat Ferrari? And why did James Hunt, who went on to win the World Championship, always say that this team, and not the one that gave him the title, was where his soul was? By 1972, James Hunt was 24, broke, and about to quit racing. He'd been sleeping in vans at circuits, driving an ice cream van between races just to pay for tires. He was fast, brilliant, and frequently upside down. He earned a nickname for it, Hunt the Shunt. March had just fired him. With no drive and nowhere to go, he showed up at a small circuit in Belgium called Chimay and met a man named Anthony Horsley. Everyone called him Bubbles. Bubbles worked for Lord Alexander Hesketh, the third Baron Hesketh, who was 21 years old, who had just inherited the family trust fund and had decided he wanted to go motor racing. Their first meeting, in Bubbles' own words, "We met in the middle of a field full of cowpats. We sort of found each other. We sort of needed each other. It was a marriage of convenience." And from that cowpat field, one of the strangest teams in Formula One history was born. Lord Hesketh had no Formula One experience, no idea what he was doing, and didn't care. He ran the team from the stables of his family estate in Northamptonshire. No sponsors. Hesketh found the concept vulgar. He called himself La Patron. Bubbles was Bubbles, and James Hunt, superstar. In their debut Formula One season, 1973, James Hunt finished second at the United States Grand Prix. They didn't even have their own car yet. They raced in a borrowed machine. Lord Hesketh wanted his own. He found a man to build one. His name was Harvey Postlethwaite, a PhD in mechanical engineering. Everyone called him the Doc. How did they get him to leave March Engineering and join this circus? His own words, "They got me drunk." The Doc designed the Hesketh 308 from scratch, and it was that car that would beat Ferrari. But building a car that could win was only half the problem. The other half was finding the money to keep it on the track. By 1974, the money was running out. Bubbles invented a rent-a-driver scheme. They started selling Super Bear t-shirts. James had a patch on his overalls. Sex, the breakfast of champions. But none of it was enough. By June 1975, the inland revenue was calling every week, and bailiffs were 3 days from the door. Then came Zandvoort. Race morning. The circuit was soaked. Before the start, Bubbles spotted a tiny patch of clear sky on the horizon and made a call. Keep the dry set up. It was a massive risk. If the track never dried, they'd finish nowhere. The race started on wet tires. On lap 7, Bubbles called James in for slick tires, and James dropped from 3rd to 19th. But the track was drying. James Hunt on slicks on a drying circuit was picking off cars one by one. The crowd at Zandvoort, who had come to watch Lauda win because Lauda had won the last 3 races in a row, started to stand up. By lap 14, James Hunt had passed Lauda. When Regazzoni finally came in for tires, James Hunt was leading the Dutch Grand Prix. The gap between him and Lauda was 1 second, and it stayed 1 second, lap after lap, no matter how hard Lauda pushed. James Hunt did not crack. James Hunt crossed the line first. A team with no money, no sponsors, no right to be there, had just beaten the best car in Formula One. 4 days after crossing the line first, the prize money was gone. The French Grand Prix was 2 weeks away. They had nothing. So Bubbles Horsley walked over to Easton Neston, found the logbook for Lord Hesketh's Rolls-Royce, and sold it to a buyer he knew for $20,000 without telling Alexander. That money got them Paul Ricard. And when Lord Hesketh eventually worked out what had happened, he was, in his own words, rather impressed with Horsley's ingenuity. That is the kind of team this was. But ingenuity could only go so far. Through the second half of 1975, several major sponsors approached Hesketh Racing. Each time, deals drafted, contracts almost signed, Lord Hesketh pulled back at the last moment. As Hunt said later, several deals came close to being signed, but he seemed to torpedo them just as they were about to happen. He'd get cold feet. He didn't really want to give it away. He wasn't ready to share the team, not even to save it. At midnight on November 14, 1975, A self-imposed deadline passed in silence. Lord Alexander Hesketh wound up his Formula One team. The next morning, he held a press conference at Thruxton Circuit, broadcast live by the BBC, with fans invited. James Hunt climbed into car number 24, the Dutch Grand Prix winning Hesketh 308, and drove lap after lap of Thruxton for the very last time. Lord Hesketh spoke to the cameras. It was my honor and privilege, and still the greatest thing I ever took part in, to have been able to give James his chance. And then James Hunt stood up and said, Hesketh Racing gave me and taught me everything in Formula One, and it was where my soul was. Some teams race for the championship, some race for something else entirely. If that's what you came here for, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.